Welcome to Feature Fridays. My name is Guy Bartram. I'm the Director of Product Marketing for our cloud providers in VMware. And today I'm joined by Jay. Jay, welcome back, man. Thank you very much for joining us. Do you want to introduce yourself to people?
Sure. Thanks, Guy. Hello, everyone. My name is Jay, and I'm a Senior Technical Marketing Manager with VMware Cloud Marketing Team. And I basically take care of the Cloud Director services, Cloud Director, and a couple of extensibility portfolio within this team.
Brilliant. And that's what we're here to talk about today. We're a slight new modification that's available for cloud providers, right? Cloud Director has been supporting NSX Advanced Load Balancer for some time now. We've got quite a big momentum with cloud providers now starting to adopt this. And in the latest version of Cloud Director, there is a lot more advanced load balancer capability available in the UI for Cloud Director, and we've changed the licensing and how it kind of functions in Cloud Director. So it's a lot more applicable now, more than ever before, for Cloud Director partners. But that's great. But with that comes some challenges, right? Which are around operationalizing it, monitoring it, and managing it. And that's what we're here to talk about today. The new kind of update, in case anyone hasn't seen it, is a blog written by you regarding the vRealize operations management pack, NSX Advanced Load Balancer, which is free to all our cloud providers, right? Do you want to walk us through, what is this pack? How does it fit into vRealize operations? How can Cloud Direct providers deploy it, and what sort of kind of things can they see?
Sure, absolutely, guys. So let me take you through. Let me quickly share my screen. So yes, as Guy, you have mentioned that from vCloud Director version, VMware Cloud Director version 10.4, we have enhanced a lot of features within VCD for NSX Load Balancer, and plus we have changed some licensing model. In this video, we will purely talk about the management pack, which we are releasing it for the first time for NSX ALB, which can be installed within vROps to monitor NSX ALB. So this is a pretty cool update what we have, which will actually help us monitor our NSX load balancing environment through vROps. So in this video, the agenda of this whole session is all about, I will briefly talk about what is Operations Manager. Then we will talk about the benefits and use cases of Operations Manager, why we need it. And then we'll talk about what is a management pack all about, what it is and why we need it. And then we'll specifically dive into the NSX Advanced Load Balancer management pack. And then finally, I'll give you a lab demo end-to-end, how we basically install this pack, configure it, and how we can look at dashboards and other items. Okay. So to begin with, what is Operations Manager? So from a textbook perspective, it says that Operations Manager is an unified AI-powered self-driven IT operations management platform for private, hybrid, and multi-cloud. That's a textbook dictionary. To keep it simple, Operations Manager is one of the most advanced product of VMware, which basically helps you monitor all of your environment. When I say environment, you can monitor your virtual environment, you can monitor your on-premises environment, and also you can monitor any of your cloud environment. So Operations Manager is basically a monitoring tool, which has now advanced into many more features, which we'll see in a couple of slides ahead. So it basically helps you monitor your entire environment, finds out how are the resources from a resource perspective, find out anomalies in your environment, and let you know through alerts and reminders that you have some issue in the environment, or you need to fix something, or you need to add a resource within a specific cluster or stuff like that. So with vROps, you can monitor a lot of solutions as well, out of which one of the solution is now NSX Advanced Load Balancer. So it's a very old solution which VMware has been developing, and it has advanced a lot, and it supports a lot of things as we see today. So the main thing for what we would use an Operations Manager is basically, Operations Manager has a couple of pillars which it supports. The first pillar is it helps you in complete capacity optimization. And the second pillar is it helps you in your planning optimization. Basically, we call it as a what if analysis. So That's the second pillar. The third pillar is all about troubleshooting, which is one of the crucial features of this product, where it helps you find out solutions to some of the things broken within your environment. And finally, it helps you meet up to your compliance requirement as per your region. So these are the four main pillars of vROps, where you can get this solution integrated with your other environment or your on-premise environment, and then start monitoring and planning using this tool. So it's a very advanced, intelligent tool, which will give you end-to-end results in the form of metrics and in the form of object relationship, dashboards, views, and also you can generate reports at the end, and that will give you an end-to-end summary of what's really happening in the environment. So this is how powerful this operations manager tool is.
Hey, Jay, I mean, this is great for like a cloud provider managing their own kind of infrastructure themselves, right, and their cloud infrastructure, and it's going to really help them.
Correct.
But also, like, a critical thing here is they can offer those management views, those dashboards, those reports as additional managed services to customers, and also expose them in the Tenant App, right, in Cloud Director.
Correct. So let me, since we have got this question, let me get into that point.
Yeah.
So one thing what we have to understand is that Operations Manager is available in two forms. One, in the SDDC platform, where you can install or rather deploy the OV appliance and get this configured. And the other one is available in the form of cloud, which is Operations Manager Cloud. And as you mentioned, yes, we can provide certain services in the cloud environment or in the SDDC environment to your managed service providers. And for example, like you mentioned, right, the Tenant App application. Tenant App application basically depends on vROps to pull up data and accordingly help you do your billing and reporting through the application, which is Tenant App. So in the background, Tenant App is dependent on vROps to pull the data for your respective tenant when you offer that solution to any of the tenants. So yes, it is very much possible, and it is being used by a variety of our customers as we speak today.
Yeah, and I'm just going to do a plug here. So there is a monitoring as a service partner demand center kit for cloud providers who want to understand and want to offer monitoring services to their tenants. And this kit goes through kind of all of the capabilities that you can deliver from a monitoring perspective in Tenant App or as additional managed services. And cloud providers can use that to directly market to their tenants and their customers, prospective customers or existing customers. So head over to the VMware Partner Demand Center and have a look at that kit, download it, customize it, and then use it in your sales and marketing activities.
Right. So yeah, as you said, we can use the monitoring as a service feature and then provide that to your end customers.
Yeah.
And so what are the benefits of Operations Manager? Like, we have understood the pillars of Operations Manager, right? But what benefit does it bring to us? First thing, yes, of course, it'll let you know what are the anomalies in your environment and let you know those in the form of alerts. So it will proactively let you know whether something is going to go bad or something is already bad in your environment. The other advantage lately with vROps is that it will help you do your cost analysis. So it will help you manage cost of your environment you're monitoring and let you know where all you can save cost and where all you can add cost, which is actually applicable. And the other most important thing or the benefit of vROps is that it will help you in the what-if analysis. When I say what-if analysis, it means you can plan your future resources and see how much resources you would need in the future based on how the usage or the resource usage in the environment would be. So it will help you analyze, for example, what if I have so many servers in my environment? How many resources would I need in the future? What if I remove these many resources? How would my resource structure look like? And what would be my cost analysis? So it helps you plan a lot of optimization concepts, cost analysis, and it will help you know exactly what can be done from from a current resource perspective and what can be done from a future resource perspective. And it'll help you know where all you have saved cost and how much total cost can be saved wherever applicable.
Yeah.
So this is the main thing for vRealize operations, other than the primary feature of monitoring, which is basically used for troubleshooting.
Okay.
Now, vROps by itself can not monitor things, right? I mean, it needs to know what I have to monitor, correct? Now, for example, I have installed vROps in my environment. What do I do with that now? Now, let's say as a customer, I have vCenter server, I have VMware Cloud Director, I have NSX Load Balancer. What do I do? How do I monitor them? Any solution or environment you want to monitor with vRealize Operations Manager happens through something called Management Pack. Okay, Management Pack is basically you can say a plugin which allows you to extend your monitoring capability to respective solution or environment. So if in case you want to monitor any solution or environment, it is a must that you have to install the Management Pack within vRealize Operations Manager and then configure it and then connect to the solution or environment and then monitor it. The advantage here is that with vROps, we do get some pre-installed management packs, for example, for NSX, for your vCenter server, etc., which are most commonly used. You get those management packs within the vROps pre-installed. So in case, for example, in our case, we want to monitor NSX load balancer, that management pack would not be pre-installed. So in that case, you have to download the management pack respectively, upload it to the vROps solution, install it, and then configure it. So in short, management packs are the one which is the brain behind what has to be monitored and what all has to be monitored. So all the intelligence from a monitoring perspective is in the management pack. So it is, so basically when we build the management pack is when we decide what all metrics to collect from the endpoint, what all objects to collect from the endpoint, and how to hierarchy or show the hierarchy of the parent-child relationship. So all the intelligence is within the management pack. Once the management pack collects the data from the endpoint, it is when vROps adds its intelligence and processes that data and gives the data in the form of charts, metrics, view, reports, and dashboards. So it is the management pack which plays a very, very crucial role in what should be collected, how it should be collected, and how it should be presented. When I say presented, in the form of dashboard, views, or other tabs. So this is how important the management pack is. Now, what does the management pack contain? Basically, it's a pack file which either is pre-installed for certain solutions within vROps, or you have to download the pack file from the VMware marketplace. So once you have the pack file, and if in case you want to know what's inside the pack file, you basically have the manifest file, which has all the intelligence built in, that what has to happen once we have the pack installed, where should it go and talk to which endpoint, collect what data, collect the data at what interval, and how the data will be processed, and how the data would be given to vROps. All the intelligence is within the manifest file, within the pack file of a management pack. Yeah. Every solution will have its own management pack. So let's say if you have 10 solutions to monitor with vROps, you have to have those solutions for those 10 pack, for those 10 pack file for those 10 solutions. If in case, say for example, you have a solution for which you do not have a management pack file with vROps, in that case, you would not be able to monitor that specific solution. But moreover, you have mostly the management pack for almost all the solutions which are most commonly used in the market. And like I mentioned, the pack files are installed from the VMware marketplace.
Yeah, and it's important to note that not all kind of management packs are free, right? I mean, we've got some management packs. So if you're providing like base infrastructure monitoring, like you said, Jay, a lot of those are free. Most of those are installed by default when you deploy vROps. But then if you want to extend your managing capability to other systems that you may have in your environment, then that's where you would go to the marketplace and have a look, see what is available. and check whether it's free or not.
Correct.
Equally, if you're doing application level monitoring, right? So above the infrastructure, if you've got customers who've got databases or web apps that need kind of monitoring, there's lots of management packs in there, which you can then deploy, configure the reporting for that tenant, and then publish those reports into Tenant App for them as URLs that they can just simply click through. So you can provide plenty of additional managed service capability there with the management packs, and that's like a really good differentiator for cloud providers.
Yes, you're right, guys. So you can monitor applications or solutions or your environment, but again, subjective. You have to go and check in the VMware marketplace whether the management pack is for free or it is on a charge basis.
Yeah.
Okay, now we will talk about NSX Advanced Load Balancer Management Pack, which is this video all about. So now we have understood what is a management pack. In the same way, NSX ALB is just another management pack which will basically help you monitor the NSX Advanced Load Balancer solution or application in your environment. So basically, what does this management pack do? It'll once installed, it'll go connect to the respective NSX Advanced Load Balancer solution, and then they will exchange certificates. Basically, vROps and the NSX Advanced Load Balancer solution would exchange certificate, trust each other, and then this pack would start collecting the data as per the intelligence built within the pack and start reporting that to vROps. And then vROps will use its own intelligence, its algorithms to populate and draw these end results using its intelligence. So this management pack also is a .pack file which has to be downloaded and then installed manually on the vROps solution.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, like any other management pack, this management pack will also has a couple of pre-built items. When I say items, it has pre-built object type of dashboards. It has certain pre-built views. It has pre-built metrics and other properties which can be collected and populated.
And that's not to stop you, right? So you've got your metrics, which vROps will pull depending on what's in the manifest file of the pack.
Yes.
It will then create the KPIs, monitor the KPIs, but then you've got the option of using that data and creating super metrics. So if you want things to be viewed in a different manner, then there's always that option with vRealize operation. So it's very extensible what you can do.
It is very, very extensible, and you can go to a very deep level of configuration. Like you mentioned, you can configure your KPIs, and then you can configure super metrics, which is basically metrics of metrics. And that's how granular you can go and configure and get your end result. Basically, what's the end result with vROps or with any management pack? It's basically the reports and whatever you see on the dashboard for alerts and other symptoms which is happening within the environment, right? So you can get up to whatever level or however well you can configure vROps for super metrics KPIs is how deep you can go and get the data and get data the way you want it. So it's all customizable. You can create your own dashboards, you can create your own management packs, you can create your own views and then generate reports accordingly. So that's how strong and powerful this vROps solution is.
Yeah.
Now, what are the key advantages of this package? Like any other package, yes, even this package allows you to have an end-to-end visibility of the load balancer resources. This management pack allows you for a single pane of view to see all the NSX ALB objects in the form of dashboards and maybe some properties and metrics in the form of views. And you can also look at the parent-child hierarchy in the details tab of the environment for this solution through this management pack. Yes, it also does a continuous monitoring of the resources from NSX ALB perspective, and you can create your own alert definition and accordingly monitor this NSX ALB based on your respective thresholds. So that's all you can do. These all things you can do with this management pack. Now, like I mentioned, right, every management pack has its own limitations, or basically it the management pack can only function with what is put inside it, right? So from this version of the NSX ALB management pack, you can basically monitor these objects from an NSX ALB, which are controller and controller clusters, tenants of the NSX ALB, cloud, virtual services, pools, servers, service engine groups, and networks. So these all objects is what you can collect the data for from NSX ALB through this management pack and accordingly draw the data.
So Jay, just zooming into that one a little bit. When you're looking at like the tenant view, okay, so we want to provide our tenants visibility of their load balancing infrastructure with NSX ALB. vRealize operations creates these reports in like the high level cloud provider view. Is it then possible to limit the view of a particular tenant load balancing controller, or
yes,
yes, so you can actually then say this report is only for this tenant?
Yes. So at a tenant level perspective, you can actually through the settings in Tenant App as an admin, you can control which tenant has what access, and the respective reports or whatever view and dashboard we generate is for that tenant only. And like you mentioned, like the URL we have for each tenant will only show them their data. Right? Okay,
cool.
Yeah. So these are the objects this management pack will monitor from an NSX ALB. Now, like we mentioned, we always like free stuff, right? So good news, this pack is freely available to download from VMware Marketplace and can be installed with vROps. But the only thing you have to remember is that if in case you have vROps in your environment and if you want to monitor NSX ALB, you have to make sure that you're running on either advanced or enterprise license from a vROps perspective. That is when you can be able to monitor the NSX ALB through this management pack, right? So that's the condition. The licensing of vROps must be advanced or enterprise.
Oh, so that means because Tenant App, you don't know, I think you can get away with a basic vROps license, can't you? So this is the next level up then.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. So this was all about vROps management pack and NSX ALB management pack. So what I'll do now is I'll take you through the lab demo and help you understand how to download it and then how to install it and configure it in the lab. All right. In this lab, what I have done, I already have my management pack downloaded, which looks like this. It's like a pack file. It's a management pack for what solution and the version number and the build number .pack file. Okay. To begin with, I will first log into the vRealize operations UI portal as an admin. And once we log into this, what we'll do is first we will install the NSX Advanced Load Balancer management pack. So this is the default view of vROps. And just to recap, like I mentioned, vROps has 4 pillars. Why is this important? Because you can also use NSX Advanced Load Balancer objects to do an optimization of performance, capacity optimization, troubleshooting, and your compliance and other settings. Now, from a installation perspective, if I have to install, I click on data source and I click on integrations. By default, in the repository of vROps, you might find a couple of solutions which you can monitor. And like I mentioned, you can also monitor your cloud solutions like AWS, Azure, Google Cloud, etc. These are some of the default packs. Not all are default. Some are installed by me in the lab, but you do get some default available integrations like these, what you see at the bottom. Okay.
Yeah.
So just click on activate and they would get automatically enabled for you. Now, since I do not have NSX ALB ready, so what I do, I have to first upload and get that pack file within vROps. So for that, let me get to that location where I have the pack file downloaded, which is this one. And then I click upload. So what's happening right now, from my local file, this pack file is getting uploaded to the vROps the vROps virtual appliance.
Mhm.
So if you look here, once the upload is done, it mentions what the pack file is, the version, the build number, and a description. And it says the signature of the pack file is valid. This is very important. This is something which VMware validates and then uploads them to the VMware marketplace. Why I'm saying VMware validates? Because there are a couple of pack files which also is built by third parties for their solution. So in that way, we have to make sure that VMware validates the pack file and the signatures. And then, as always, we accept the end user agreement and then we will install it. So while installing, I'll show you what all happens in the background as it starts displaying these items. So it does a pre-apply of validation of the pack file. There are like 6 or 7 stages, and it should not take more than 1 or 2 minutes. Then it applies the system updates, which is basically this pack file within the solution. And then it will apply some scripts, which is available in the manifest file while installing this pack file. If in case you have a vROps cluster, installing it from any one node will install it on all the other nodes as well, basically. So you don't have to go and install it manually on each of them.
Yeah.
And then it has applied the setting and the installation is complete. So if you look at the repository now, we have the pack file listed over here. Now it is just installed. The next step is to configure this pack file for it to be able to talk to our NSX Advanced Load Balancer. 2 ways you can do that. One, from the repository section, click add account, or if you click on accounts, you can click on add account and select which adapter you want. In our case, NSX Advanced Load Balancer. It will take you to the configuration page. So quickly what I'll do is I will pick up the URL of the NSX Advanced Load Balancer and then use this in my configuration. So I can give it a name and a description, and then the URL which I've copied. And then I have to give the credentials. For that, what I'll do is I'll click add and add the credentials. Click OK once you have the credentials. And in case you have multiple credentials, you can drop down and select whichever you want. And then click validate connection. So what it will do now is it will try to contact NSX ALB, and it will exchange the certificates, and then it will connect to the NSX ALB. So now it's got the certificate from the Advanced Load Balancer. We'll accept the certificate. And then it says the test connection is successful. This is very important. You have to get this message. Click OK and click add. Now, once you add the account, it will list the account under this table. If you expand NSX ALB at the very early stage, this will be in warning status. It will then change to collecting status, then collection status, and then the OK status. So basically, after we have configured, vROps takes a couple of collection cycles to fetch the data and then populate the data within vROps. Now, one thing you have to clearly understand from this lab demo perspective, usually vROps takes, it is recommended that once you have configured any solution, right, allow vROps 24 hours to apply its intelligence on the data collected and draw some data for you. So now, since we will see certain options or dashboards and reports within this demo, we might not see all of the data or basically, or maybe no data as well, but allow vROps 24 hours to actually show you real data and the live data. Basically, when I say live data, 5 minutes older data, but with a lot of data, it can do its intelligence, apply formulas, algorithms, and then show certain reports and other informations to you. So if I click refresh here,
it won't show any trending or anything like that straight away, will it? It'll just show the base kind of collection metrics. Yep.
Correct. And after like, it just took a few minutes in our case. If you look at the status, it's okay. Only when it is okay is you can say that the configuration is successful and vROps through the management pack is able to collect data from NSX Advanced Load Balancer.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, so we are done with installing, configuring, and connecting. Now, we will now look at a couple of things. One, what all dashboard comes by default with this pack? What all view comes by default with this pack? We will look at the details tab to look at the object hierarchy. Basically, we call it a parent-child relationship. And then we will try generating 1 or 2 reports. Okay.
Okay.
Now, from the dashboard perspective and reports and view perspective, we have to navigate to the visualize section. And you see here, there's something called dashboards. So by default, this management pack has 3 built-in dashboards for NSX ALB management pack. So once this is loaded, if I expand the all section, I would see here NSX Advanced Load Balancer. By default, it has 3 dashboards. The first one is NSX Advanced Load Balancer Availability and Health Dashboard. So it has a couple of widgets, which basically is all about, which basically talks about your NSX Advanced Load Balancer instances. So you see here, it has our respective Advanced Load Balancer instance details. It'll show you the heat map. It'll show you the virtual service health heat map and a couple of other widgets. Again, these all information will populate in a couple of time, or rather after a couple of collection cycles. So that's the reason we don't see any data over here, because vROps has still not applied its intelligence. And the other dashboard is all about virtual services configuration overview dashboard, where you can see your load balancer instances and what all objects it has within the instance. You can look at the virtual services, profiles, service ports, all the analytics, and some advanced settings. And the other dashboard is about virtual service health overview dashboard, where again it will talk about instances, services, what will end. What is the virtual service end-to-end timing, and it'll draw some scores for you, some DNS details for you, etc. Now, these 3 are the default dashboards. If you have the right licenses, which I believe you will, because NSX ALB is supported with Advanced and Enterprise, you can draw your own dashboard. When I say draw, you can design your own dashboards, and then accordingly you can have your views available and see what all data you want to see in a dashboard form.
Yep.
So this is all about NSX ALB default dashboards. Next thing is views. So what are views? Basically, views are categories for a data type, which will show you the metrics. It will show you the properties of any object within the data type. Now, for example, if I click on manage under views, by default, NSX ALB pack has some views for the load balancer. If I search with ALB, you see here I have a couple of views. Now, these are default. Again, you can create your own views as well with whatever properties and matrices you want from within the NSX ALB solution, which vROps is collecting through the management pack. For example, if I click on this specific view, and this is a controller view, right? So what I do is I have to select preview source. And then let's say if I select the controller, it'll show me certain data about this controller in the form of this view. So basically this view would have It will show you how much data it is collecting. It will show the memory usages, disk usage, CPU usage, etc. So in this way, you can also look at other default view. Say, for example, if I click the SE view and I want to preview this, I have to select my data source, which is NSX ALB service engine. And if I click OK, it will pick up the data. Again, we are not seeing more data because it is still in the calculation stage.
Yeah.
So in this way, you can have your own views as well. Now, if in case you want to create your own view, quickly I'll show you. You click on create. You can give it NSX ALB demo. How do you want the view to be presented? Let's say list, summary, trends, etc. I'll select list, and then subject. I want, let's say, advanced load balancer. I want controller, and then my group by, we can leave it for now, not important. And this is what I wanted to show you: data. What does view contain? It contains all of your metrics, properties of that object. In our case, which is the object? Controller, right? So this is how you can design your own view. It will give you your risk analysis, health analysis based on whatever metrics it is collecting. So one more thing to understand here, you can see all these information, right? These are the information which this adapter is collecting from NSX ALB. Okay, so you can just drag and drop whatever you want, and then you can say where all this view must be available, and click save. You have your view available now. So you can, in the same way, you can now preview that view and under whatever data source you want. So this is our view which we created. And quickly, if I click inside this view, since it's a controller view which I have created, I can select controller, say okay. It will give you the data as per what all properties I have added. Okay.
Yeah.
Now this is all about views. One more thing you have to understand: you can add views to your reports when you're generating reports, which we will see in some time. We'll come back to reports at the very end. So we have seen dashboard views. Let me take you to some other sections. Let me first take you to the inventory. And if you look at the inventory right now, always understand one thing: any solution we are monitoring through a management pack would be listed under adapter instances. Okay. Now, since we have installed NSX-T Advanced Load Balancer instance, and this is our NSX solution we are monitoring. See here, object types. These all object types it will collect. The same thing what I showed you on the slides. So if you want to know through the tool, you can come over here, navigate to this location, and find out what all object types it will collect, and make sure that always the collection state and status for each object type must always be in green. That means it is collecting the data for that object from the endpoint. Now, if I take you to the object browser view, which is heavily used by the administrators and or the end clients, tenants, if I go or navigate to the NSX Advanced Load Balancer adapter, and let's say, for example, I want to look at the controller details. Now, what details? If I click on the respective controller, I can look at its summary. I can see from here how many objects does it have within this controller. It has 1 service engine, 2 clouds, 2 networks, 4 engine groups, etc. And it will also show you the status. And these are the other statuses which you may see for the object. And if I click on alerts tab, it will show me any alerts for that specific objects. And if I click on metrics, this is another heavily used section where, let's say, for example, I want to see the health metrics for that controller. It will give me the metrics. So basically, it will draw the chart for you. Since it is, we have just configured it, it will not show much data, but you can zoom into whatever specific point in time you want and then look at the metrics. In the same way, if I want to look at some statistic like CPU usage, or maybe I can just double click. It will draw the CPU usage for me, and it will show you the data. So this is how you can use the metrics tab for each object type.
Yeah.
Okay. And then if I click events, it'll basically I can configure a couple of events and my threshold settings from here. And if I click more, this is another important tab, which is the details tab, where I can see the data for each object. When I say data, depending on what information I'm clicking on, I can see the data in the form of, let's say, it could be a list, it could be a bar graph, it could be a pie chart, etc. So basically, I can add my views over here as well to see the data. Now you see here, I had added, we created one NSX ALB demo view. I can select that and see here as well. Okay. And finally, the most important tab in this section is the environment tab, where I can see my object hierarchy. So if I select controller, I can see who is the parent of a controller and who are the child of the controller. Why this is important? Right now we have everything in green in this environment. Now, in terms of troubleshooting, right? You should know, right, where the problem is. So let's say, for example, if I have an issue in virtual services, it will change the color of the virtual service accordingly to yellow, orange, or red based on what thresholds you have configured.
Yeah.
And that's how you can know that, okay, the problem within this hierarchy is at the virtual service and this virtual service. So it is easy for you to go and particularly look at that specific object and troubleshoot it. So that's why this page is very important to know exactly in the entire hierarchy where the problem lies and why you're seeing the anomalies and alerts reported.
Yeah. Yeah.
In this way, you can look at the information for other objects as well. Now, finally, coming to the dashboards. Before dashboards, if in case any adapter for that matter has any alerts, you would see them under the alert section. Irrespective of NSX ALB or vCenter or whatever, you would see them in the alert section, and you can group them by time, capacity, definition, or object type, and accordingly take action, take ownership, and then fix the problem.
Yeah.
And then finally, we get to dashboards. We get to reports, which is this one. This is the final result, right, which we want to present to our executives on management. So in that way, you can create reports. Let me see if we have any default reports for ALB. If not, we'll quickly create one. We do not have any default reports for ALB. So what we'll do is, let's create one. So I click add. I want to say NSX ALB demo report. In the reports, basically, I can add view and dashboard. Now, since this is the report for ALB, I will filter the object or data type with ALB. I have these many things which I can add from a view perspective. So let's add the view which we created and a couple of more views. Note that vROps, like we mentioned, is very extensive. You can go and configure each of the values the way you want it, but we'll keep it simple over here. And if you want to add any dashboard, if I search for ALB, we have 3 dashboards, right? Let me add those dashboards as well. Okay, let me give NSX. I'll add this dashboard. All right, let's say this is my report. In what format do I want my report? PDF or CSV? I'll keep it to just PDF for now. And how the report should look. Let me add a cover page, table of content, and a footer. And let me click this. What's the report name? Demo report. Click save. Now, this is my report, which I have manually created. Now, if in case I want to see the results as per what is within this report, I have to either run the report or schedule the report at a particular time.
Yeah.
So let's run the report. Against which object? I will run the report against the controller. Click OK. And if I click the generated reports tab, you see here, it is now in a processing status rather. So in a couple of seconds, it will have the reports for me. and then I can download the report and look at the report. So
this is quite cool in terms of if you're providing a managed service to a tenant and you want to include your ALB metrics into an overall report, or perhaps dedicated report on load balancing. You can come into your report that you provide to them and just add in the metrics associated with their service instances. Yeah.
So it has now completed. You see here a couple of seconds ago. So since we already selected PDF, it will show me PDF icon. I can download this. And then if I click the report, since we selected footer, header, page, everything, we would see it in a nice format. And see, we had added all these 3 views and 1 dashboard. That's my content. And this is how the report would look like. And this is my dashboard, which I added. And again, this will give you all the things which you have added. And trust me, you can go even further in detail to draw this report the way you want it. So this is how it will look like. And this data can be presented to your executives or higher management.
So Jay, just a quick question on the load balancing names, the load balancing names. When cloud providers are delivering service instances for tenants, they'll probably name them, with the tenant name maybe, or some sort of code. If you just jump to like page, I don't know, 6 or 5, you'll see a lot of instance names there, which are they're pools. Okay. So
these are pools.
Yeah. So will you be able to, does it pull across then the same naming convention that you use with in ALB? So you can actually then correlate what's what?
Oh, yes, you can. Yeah, you can absolutely correlate what is what for which tenant, and then just draw the data for that tenant and all the hierarchical objects for that tenant's objects.
Perfect.
Yes,
perfect.
yes. That's very important. Yes.
Okay.
But as an admin, if I really want, I can generate the report for all to look at the overall usage, for example. But from a tenant perspective, yes, it is specific to what they have and their reports. Yes.
Yeah.
So this is all about reports from NSX ALB perspective. Same formula is applied for any adapter for that matter. And like I mentioned, from a troubleshooting, you can look at alerts and you can look at logs from this page. Or you can, basically you have to integrate log insight, and then you can look at all the other items. So yeah, this is all about vROps management pack, and in particularly NSX ALB management pack. This is the first time we're releasing this pack. So please try to install it in your environment. It's free of cost. Make sure that you have vROps Advanced or Enterprise licenses and get this configured. It is pretty straightforward and it will give you wonderful data. And now you have a way to monitor NSX ALB with vROps. So yeah, Guy, back to you.
Awesome, Jay. Awesome. This is really cool. So like we said, right, VCD 10.4 introduced a whole load of NSX ALB functionality. We've also got Terraform. There's ALB functionality in there now. NSX-T is all, pretty much up to spec now in VCD. So this is a great time to start using NSX Advanced Load Balancer, and also then start looking at these kind of management packs and monitoring and operationalizing it. Jay, thank you very much for your time today, mate. It's been a pleasure as always. And thank you so much for configuring the lab and taking us through the solution end to end. Really appreciate it.
Super. Thanks, Guy. Thanks, everyone. Make sure that you also look at the blog, which is written for the same solution. Go ahead and look at the blog and, of course, this video. And if you have any doubts, post in your comments on the blog or the video, and then we'll get back to you. Thank you.
Thanks, Jay.